Okay. Hello, Kenny. How you doing? Okay, so yesterday I went off on a tangent. I am continuing that tangent because it is fun. Basically, what I'm going to do is... still struggling with Kafka. Ugh. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Yeah, the way it sounds like you're using Kafka is the way that I watched another team use that method, and I just it didn't sit right with me. It just felt like too much extra work around Kafka itself. Says the guy that has written an entire library for Kafka. So, for dealing with the subscriptions and stuff and the outbots, etc. But yeah, it just feels like too much work. So that's why I kind of like using Kafka as a, here's the state of things. You determine what you need to do with it. Yeah. Like using Kafka as an event bus is messy. Joy. Joy. Oh, you gotta do what you can, right? That's all you can do. So yesterday I had a bit of fun with this. Just to write a test for it. Yes. Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, okay. Well, fortunately, I don't think I can help you very much with that, right? It being work stuff. Like looking at the messages. The dealing with other teams, dealing with other developers' opinions of how software should work is always tough. Yeah. Oh, I fully understand the pain. I get it. It's why when we're planning software, it's very important to talk and people and talk meaningfully, not just talk. Because if you get a bunch of developers in a room, they'll solve every problem under the sun except the one they need to solve, right? They'll get diverted, they'll go off on tangents, they'll do all sorts of stuff, anything to not talk about the actual problem they're trying to solve. All in the name of solving that problem, but they'll go all around the place. But when you're planning and you're preparing, it's why it's really important to talk about the actual use cases and understand how the software is and get on the same page as to the goal. And I get that this is a different team, so, but it means that it's easier to describe, it's easier to document because the team has understood. Yeah, that's something our company does. So like my role is to try and go across all the teams and understand what they're working on so that I'm able to see the cracks, and I create meetings for the team leads to have conversations. And last week I actually facilitated this meeting, and the one developer goes, well, hold on, that could help us. Oh, okay. And let's have a conversation. So they got to go off and figure out a conversation together that they would have missed otherwise. So it's very rewarding to facilitate that. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm doing is, so yesterday we now know that the auth works properly. We got the auth client up and running. It's caching that properly, so we can get that. Obviously, I'm not getting the login, etc. Figured out yet. We're just going to get the auth token that we need. It's like factories that dump their stuff into one river, and others have to filter what they need. I think if you are a producer of data to Kafka, and there are subscribers to that data, it is your responsibility to make sure that those subscribing are not stuck. I provide a demo of how to deal with it. Yeah, let's do that. So what I got working yesterday was we have a regex to pull these variables out. It will pull this out, and it will look this up against this right this second, right? So if I give it a dictionary, it will go and figure that out. I'm manipulating this dictionary because I am going off and figuring out these users. So this is the actual resolved users, I suppose. Hey, Hef. How's it going? Well, C# enthusiast of 20 years as well. Yes. I've enjoyed using C# for a long time. Yeah. Yep. I don't even like writing that code. Yeah. So what I'm working on right this second is Twitch lib stuff, like Twitch library stuff, not Twitch. I can't say Twitch lib because that obviously suggests that I'm using Twitch lib. I'm writing the EventSub piece to try and get the WebSocket up and running so that I can use their newer style of EventSub. So this is a bit of a prototype. It's not my normal development. I have two projects that I normally work on stream. One is a Blazor Aspire project for an open source project that I'm trying to build for supporting developers who stream. And then my main project is a project codenamed Liquid Sky, which is a project management application that I've been building for the last 15 or so months. I wish I'd given it more attention sooner. I first looked at it in like 2006, 2007, then took it up again for real in 2015. I've been loving it for a decade now. Nice. .NET's evolved a lot in that time. If you go back to 2006, 2007, .NET Compact Framework, .NET 2, .NET 3.5 was coming around, right? It was a very different landscape. Thank you, online. Good morning. I like how .NET's evolved, and I think it's for me it can solve all problems, whether they be desktop, whether they be web, whether they be service. It fits in and it does it well. It's not, as far as I'm aware, it's not terrible at anything. It might not be the quickest in all cases. It might not be the strongest in all ways, but I can build pretty much anything I need to build on any platform, which is why I love .NET. So what I'm trying to do right this second is continue my overcomplication of this process by trying to be clever with it. just for fun, just for the learning. So what I'm doing is I'm basically giving myself the chance to provide these subscriptions. If I want to do a different chat subscription, I can obviously do a different user here or whatever. And we'll extend this behavior. So I'm just kind of contemplating what it looks like to organize this code differently and what sorts of things I need. So these are going to be the values. So I'm going to have to provide that. Now, this in here is going to be you put whatever you want in app settings.json. Oh, Rambling Geek, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you for the resub. I dislike that it doesn't show me that up there. Restreambot does not show that message because it's a system message from Twitch. But thank you. Yes, on the topic of .NET, Canny also does some .NET stuff. He does Godot, so he does game dev. He also works in GDScript with Godot, but has done .NET stuff in Godot as well. Very capable and adaptable developer, and builds a very cool overlay library for Twitch inside of Godot called Twitcher. Adaptable. Don't you work in Java in day-to-day? So you using C# and GDScript in Godot in your spare time and doing Java. That's adaptable to me. Like, I'm not sure I would have that much brain power to switch. So what I'm thinking is ultimately I need a variables collection, right? And then what I need to do is convert my configuration or transform my configuration, right? In here. Golang off stream and GDScript C# on stream. Yeah. That's I mean, if that's productive, that's productive, but yeah. So what I'm thinking here is I want to, instead of injecting Twitch configuration, no, I need configuration here to get those values. Okay, so I need that. Let's think about this. Let's do configuration builder. Okay. So for subscriptions, let's create a subscription builder. And then, Kenny, thank you very much for the luck. Gotta be careful with that word builder because it comes with some connotations. But anyway, what do I want to write here? So ultimately, what I need to get is a collection that basically looks like this app settings, right? I need to write something that looks like this, but has, one, two, right? So that's all I'm doing this for. I'm not trying to be clever and make this a global, hey, I can use all these variables. I'm just using it for subscriptions. So subscription builder makes sense here. This code will live inside of there, I think. It doesn't make sense to start manipulating this outside of that. So that's, but I don't want to, subscriptions builder. Let's just try and write it and see how it feels. So options, Twitch configuration. And if anyone watching has any thoughts, opinions, questions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to ask. I'm not looking to make this. I never treat the stream as I'm working, watch me work. If you find it useful for me to just be typing along and working while you're working, absolutely fine. I have no issue. I'm not expecting anyone to jump in and talk, but I do want to make sure people understand that I'm always open to a conversation. I'm always open to push back on what I'm doing. I'm not perfect. I do things the way I do them. You know, I'm set in my ways sometimes, and I'm happy to learn new and interesting ways of doing things, or reflect on why I do something in a certain way. It's good to ask those questions. Team Lucky Well Worky. And I appreciate it very much, sir. Thank you very much. How you doing? I get it for sure. Good morning, Mr. Weathers. How you doing? How are things treating you? So let's have a look at this. So what I'm thinking, happy to be with you on a rainy Friday. Yeah, you've been hit by those thunderstorms and stuff, because you're not too far away, right? We had I ordered some food, and I don't like ordering food in bad weather for delivery. So I ordered some food when I got up this morning, and I tip decently for the distance they're going to drive. But if it's going to be in bad weather, I always increase the tip because there's a thank you for saving my lazy butt, right? And you can't do that on the Wawa app. So the moment I hit order, the sky lights up and just I don't know, all I hear is torrential rain. I'm like, oh no. I'm sorry. Good morning, Aris. Thank you. Appreciate it. Gonna roll this week and looking forward to a hopeful Friday win. Yes. Yes. Here's to a Friday win. Thank you for the follow, J.R. Coda. Oh, this is interesting. That's not what I want, but yeah. So what I'm looking to do here is build up these subscriptions for EventSub. So I'm going to try and avoid dragging these on the screen as much today because the bright white screen is difficult to look at. But when you're doing this with Twitch, what you need to do is you send them a type of subscription, the conditions of that subscription, the things it's subscribing to in that data, and then the transport. In this case, it'll be WebSocket. And you provide it the identifier of the WebSocket. So you establish the WebSocket connection, and then you go and sub as quickly as you can because you've got less than 10 seconds or something before you have to do that before it receives its first sub. Otherwise, it'll just terminate the WebSocket. And then you'll get these messages back over the WebSocket, right? So yeah. Hi, so by the way, I can't listen to you, so can you just type and tell me what you're doing? I can't listen to you. He's nerding out. Yes. So what I'm doing here is having some fun with design. I'm tinkering with I apologize. I'm having some fun with just how I want to tackle this problem, right? It doesn't matter if it's the best way. It doesn't matter. I'm just having some fun with the design of this. So what I'm doing is I'm building these subscriptions up, right? Now I have to provide these conditions. So most of them look like this. So it's going to work okay, right? So most of the subscriptions are going to need use broadcast ready, broadcast user ready and user ready. This is my channel and the bot's ID, right? That's how I understand it so far, but we'll learn that. So what I'm looking to do is basically pull in that data, gather that data up, resolve those IDs, because that's what I need. I don't need the actual username. I need the user ID there, and then do some replacement. So just having some fun with how I build that. So this code here is going to come out of there. And what we need to do is public enumerable of subscription. We'll get back to that in a second. That's that class that we're going to have to build. Build subscriptions from param. I don't think I'm going to need any async stuff here. So let's just do this. Params I dictionary. String. Variables. Okay. Oh, let's do that one. I've got subscription all over the place. Ugh. Subscription here is in a. Oh yeah, I've got that as a default. So we'll come back and design that in a second. So let's do this. Comment that. Build subscriptions from variables, right? So then on this side, I want to create a var builder. Let's do this. Private. Let's remove that. Take out the complicated parts. Yeah, let's just make that a class that's usable right this second. So that's that. Private enumerable of subscription. Subscriptions. And then in here, we're going to create. We have to inject this, aren't we? I'm not thinking about unit testing at this point. I'm just thinking about DI. So we'd have to have a subscriptions builder. Now I'm considering this from my perspective. I'm considering solving my problem first, right? I want to build a bot library. Like I do have a lot of this, by the way. This is my existing bot. So I've gone through all this. I've actually gone through and mapped a lot of the events. And if this works, then I can create a new library, pull all that into it, and I'll share the entire thing on GitHub. Right. I've got all the models. I've got all the things. What I'm dealing with here is getting away from the IRC bot, which the existing one does. The pub sub stuff, which is actually incorrect because it's not that, is webhook, sorry, this is the these are the events for the webhooks. So this has all been mapped out. Yeah. But I'm first thinking about my own situation rather than that. So let's do subscriptions equals subscriptions builder dot build subscriptions from users. Why don't you like that? A dictionary or oh yes, that doesn't need to be that, does it? That's going to be object. That may cause me some problems because I may lose type. Okay. It's not assignable to. Oh, please tell me no. Please don't do that to me. String object. Can't use generics. Array of params array variables. What am I missing? I'm missing something really fundamental. Argument type is not assignable to string object. Why? That's exactly what that is. Types. User is a class. We'll worry about that in a second. So dictionary string object. Because my concern there was if I make it object, this is not going to work, right? So I'm gonna have to figure out this anyway. Because if I pass everything in this object, I don't have that type. I'm going to lose that. That code looks kind of cursed. Regex match, reflection, etc. That was going to be my question. You want to do it differently? Go ahead. Right. This is what I like tinkering with, right? We'll go there. I don't see any problem with that sort of stuff. If it's front and center in so the way this code's going to read afterwards, right, is going to be that's going to go away, right? And then this register subscriptions is just going to be for each var subscription in subscriptions, and then register that. So that this code becomes a lot more readable and a lot clearer. And yes, some of the complication is happening, but it's not something that I have to dig into once it works. What I'm contemplating here is how much do I lose by doing this? Do I need to wrap this so that individual sets of variables can provide what they need? So what I'm thinking is variable provider. That's not exactly what I wanted to do, but Java templating functions or basic format functions. No, I'm not. Not in this case. Templating isn't going to help me here because this collection is going to be different things, right? I could get this working by doing that, right? And hard coding that, right? This would solve that problem straight away, right? So now I only deal with users. That's great. But if I have a collection of channels where I want to catch that data, now I've got a generic problem, right? Because I now need to build a set of variables off of that collection as well. So my concept was, if this is string object, combine the arrays. They shouldn't have conflicting variables, and it would throw if they did. Combine the arrays in here, and then I've got a lookup. However, as object, that doesn't work. So where I was going there was an over engineering for what? We talk about over engineering, but why is it over engineering? Because over engineering comes with a bad connotation, right? It comes with that suggestion that I'm making things more difficult than they need to be. Building your own templating engine. So, considering I know what I need, I'm not being combative, by the way. I'm just genuinely answering the question. Are almost only users. And there's the problem. Almost only users. He's accommodating cases it doesn't exist yet. Who is? They don't exist yet because I haven't added that subscription. But again, I want to share this code. I want to give it the best chance of success for anybody picking it up. I don't want them to have to go and change the inner workings of this if I can solve that problem. And I don't know what I'll need because there's a lot of subscriptions. So I'd rather support the vast majority of these. Conditions of EventSub right now. Yeah, that's all I'm caring about. So these conditions, which yes, are invariably users, right? Majority of them are users. Reward ID. There's a few others, I think. Client ID, conduit ID, organization ID, category ID, campaign ID, extension client ID. Now, in this case, I would probably know that. I don't need to worry about that variable. But yeah. Um, agree. Agree. Most of them aren't that dynamic. Let's go with that. Yeah, yeah. And to Kenning's point, yeah, most of them are user, right? This will work. So let's do that. Let's not make it that. Right. I hate that the pop-up arrives in the screen. I always hit cancel. So yeah, that will do what I want. Here I'm getting the actual just when I help you do not do too much, it probably won't be needed. I know what I'm doing. I'm not worried about doing that. Sometimes going down that path, again, that's why I said, what is over engineering? Is over engineering not pulling in a library or looking for some other way of doing something? Is over engineering, you know, I spend a lot of my time trying to do the agony, right? Right. If I know I'm not going to need it, don't bother with it, right? In this case, I'm trying to consider this from someone's coming to it. How easy can I make it on someone so that they don't have to do very much, right? To pick this up, right? This will create a WebSocket and subscribe to whatever I've configured in there. Nice and easy. Sometimes you've got to go down the path of over engineering to understand that you're over engineering stuff, right? You got to figure out, okay, that is way too complicated because now I can see the full picture. But yeah. The how easy question is currently the most important question in Twitch. Right. Like, what do I want the experience of a developer coming to this code to look like? Matters to me very much so. So if I have to do a little bit of over engineering, and I'm air quoting that because it seems complicated, but sometimes that extra complication will yield a cleaner and more usable and understandable API. So we were talking about this last night, right? The amount of stuff that is going on under there or under there or under there that you don't know or don't care about is crazy, right? To get to this nice clean API, a lot of work has gone into making sure that's done. And that's what I'm focused on. I like doing this stuff. It's fun. Because I would sooner create a nice clean API. What are you complaining about now? I just gave you the API. Oh, because I've told it it's an array and it's not an array. It's just that. I'd sooner create a nice, easier API and have a lot of work underneath. So like the duck swimming, right? You care about, you like seeing a duck, but it's paddling like mad underneath. So, but sometimes just going down that path, even if it's a waste of time, even if you're like, oh, don't need any of that, I'm happy to rip code out. And I think you should be. I think you should be willing to write code that you're not committed to, you don't love, or you don't, yeah. Right. But you figured it out because you actually went down and like then saw the solution or saw a different way. Sometimes it takes someone to say, oh, do you know you can do this in this way? And that's why I stream. Again, it's sharing this experience and having someone say, oh, you can use this tool, you can use this tool. Maybe I want to pick up that tool, maybe I don't. Maybe I want to pull that library or this library. When I did the initial version of this, right? A dictionary with an enome rather than a string for all the different key types. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, in this case, I do want to control some of that stuff, right? So I could have different users there. I could have, let me go back here. I could have a different channel there, right? And that be, right? So, yeah, could. Not necessarily will. You can flex that later. Yeah. Come on, Apex. How you doing? So, yeah, it's okay to write a lot more code than you need. It's okay to do stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to just make it so you can just do this. You don't have to do anything in the code. It'll just work. And you get your subscriptions. What I was going to say there is in the original Twitch bot. So, stream's going well. We're having some conversation today, which is nice. You have it a bit harder because you can't use UI support that I currently have with Godot editor plugins for this. So your idea could work in the long run. Yeah. When I wrote the initial, so I started writing my bot because I didn't like, I opened TwitchLib, disliked the API intensely, and decided I would not use another person's code to write my bot, right? So I got it so I can say, create a bot, add the IRC bot, here's the command set you're going to use, here's the messaging middleware, add some Twitch APIs in there so I can add these, and I got this configuration working, right? So from my perspective, that's much cleaner than TwitchLib, right? From my perspective, maybe you agree or disagree. To get the Twitch bot working, I pass out all the data, right? So I passed out the IRC message. I handled it so that this is just receiving messages and strings. Then it hands it off to something else to deal with the command piece. And I got the command parser and I used Sprake, right? How you use it, Sprake. Yeah, Sprake. And it will pass out the message and it will give you, it will pull all the data out and put it into objects. So you have a full Twitch message all passed. Is that over engineering? What I needed? Maybe. Not regex, very fast. I even put some benchmarks around it just to see how quick it would take some of these things. It's very, very fast, like in terms of execution. But you know, here's different types of IRC messages that come through. But I like doing this stuff. This is for the sake of being able to provide a user that. Yeah. So if you give it the two conditions, you can match them to an email to make sure they are valid use cases. And then if you're getting 500 or something back, give an error saying the request message doesn't match. Yeah. Hi, Stoney, by the way. Sorry. Yeah. So again, developer experience to me, right? I don't, if I can provide some flexibility without the user having to dig in. Well, I'm not even to the point of dealing with the message yet, right? And the point was in this version, you actually, as a user, could just add in middleware to deal with any messaging. So if you wanted to use my version of the commands, you could add in commands. So the commands look like that. So you just add commands in and then just say, hey, use this set of commands, right? And it will, there's the command that you use in the chat, and that's what you process. If you want to do, add in an extra piece, and I'll probably do something, I'll probably do the same thing. I'll probably build all this out again. A list of conditions and the relevant IDs and check against that. But yeah, you could handle, the idea was always that if you wanted to add in extra pieces, so I actually put, I have an example of this with AI in the middle as a middleware. So there was an AI middleware that if you asked a question in a certain way, it would, oh, that's something I need to pick up on, and it would answer and it interject. So you just basically, again, from the developer experience perspective, you just do add messaging middleware, points middleware, and now every single message coming through would gather points or whatever. So you just add them in as a pipeline. So, but again, from a developer experience, you write this, you add this, you're done. Everything else is the same. So, yeah. But that's what matters to me, right? I like that experience thing. That's an awesome username. Thank you very much for the follow, Potato. Welcome in. So, yeah. So I'm not writing a templating engine there. I'm writing a very basic, very basic thing, right? It's very rigid. Okay. So what we're going to do here is, what does it take to match the regex? Well, welcome in. What does it take to match the regex? So the regex, did I still have it open? Did I close it? No. So basically, and this is important, by the way, if you are doing this in regex 101, make sure you select C# down here because it's slightly different engine than PHP, which is the default. So this is intended to do, okay, if I have a variable, right, that should find the variable. If I have my.name, that should match. If I have, it doesn't match anything, right? That would break in the code, but it would still allow it to pass. So I'm not going down to nested objects. I'm not going too complicated on that piece. I've done that in the past. But yeah, that's all that regex is doing. So it's just pulling that out. So it's going, okay, here's the object you're looking for in the dictionary of users, and you're going to get the value that we've resolved here. So yeah, so what this is doing, we're resolving the users here, right? So for each of those users, we go and get the users by the name, and then we pull them back out as an array. So we make a request to Twitch to get the users. Then we're going to go in here and we're going to build the conditions. Yeah. Well, broadcaster user ID. So in this case, there's broadcaster user ID. So I'm going to replace this with the value. What does that's a non-capturing group. So I want you to match it, so it should match, but don't capture it. And that's the same either side. And this took me a while yesterday, so I ended the stream yesterday on this where I was struggling a little bit with it, but there aren't that many IDs, or couldn't you just have a list of matching stuff? A list of matching stuff. I mean, most of the bodies of these event subs are going to look like that, right? We've just said that, right? Most of them are going to be repetitive. If I wanted to, if I was a mod on another channel, I could also have a sub to that other channel from here, so those IDs would be different. And don't put around it, then it's not capturing. Yeah, it was the same, I think. Right. Yeah, it was the same. Those conditions are determined by the API, right? In the app stage, you probably want a condition on what to do on trigger or something. No, so the way this works is when I start up the bot now, it's going to create a WebSocket, right? So previously with the IRC was the read and the write. You read from the IRC and you wrote to the IRC channel. In the new way, you subscribe to an event of a WebSocket. When that WebSocket connects, it's going to give you an ID, which we'll get to afterwards. When you have that ID, what you do is you register subscriptions for that socket ID, right? So now I'll loop through and actually do these registrations. And that tells Twitch, hey, by the way, if you see, I want to listen to this event and I want to send it to this WebSocket, right? Those subscriptions are only valid for the lifetime of that socket. If that socket closes, the subscriptions are gone. So yeah. Bot Musty, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. So that's what I'm doing there. You could listen to auto-mod messages as a condition. That's a condition. Show I'm following. Yeah, auto-mod message update requires broadcaster and moderator use ready. Right? Yeah. So there's a few extra things that are going to happen here, which we haven't got to yet, but could be mapped in the code. But then I'd have to deal with every single event sub in the code. Is that what you're suggesting? So you would write, oh, when I'm dealing with auto mod message update, I need these conditions. So you'd hard code a dictionary of what's required. Rather than deal with it generically as a concept. This is Twitch. We have no idea how often this API changes. It might not change for the next 10 years. It might change tomorrow because they decide that they want to do it a different way, right? No, I'm not. So I did experiment with the idea of having the concept of so this is the event sub message, right? This is the actual result that I'll get back, right? This is the event sub, and these are actually this will come soon. We'll get to this part in a little bit, but I've mapped out this entire API as this. I do not want to putting the conditions in here does mean that I have to resolve them somewhere. Can they be handled generically? Sure, I'm seeing this from the same direction. No matter what, I'd have to decide. So Like, can you take a generic condition, then do something based on it? How would I deal with that in, I mean, that's, again, I'm not really thinking through the example, whether it's possible, whether it's allowed or whatever. Suppose if I was the moderator on there, that might work. But how would I deal with that generically? Right? I could have multiple subscriptions for the same event sub with different values. At a code level, I'm not sure how I would necessarily deal with that. But I feel that we've got a different, I think that we're seeing it from two different perspectives. So, yeah. Different connotations for context. It's like a state where the update is a right. Well, the conditions are, condition is only is a configuration parameter, right? The conditions are the parameters of that particular subscription. So what's going to happen is when I do that subscription, if that event occurs, Twitch is going to push that to the WebSocket, and I'm going to get this body, right? And it's going to have the condition that I'm matching on, right? So what we do with this afterwards, not quite sure yet, but that will probably be in the headers of the message that I send into the bot. Right. So I'm not going to immediately turn around and do very much with this. I did have, in my original version of this, I did have, where are you? Webhook testing. We have handlers. So I do have the concept of a handler for these things. So I might extend this again, where I basically give you the chance to handle an event that way. So you can just create the right handler for that event happening. Might also pipeline that as well, so we'll see. You can have multiple handlers for the same event. So ultimately, this is what we need. So on the receiving side, it's not generic, basically. Depends on what level we're talking about there. So it's generic from the WebSocket side. I have to put the specifics on it to give that structure took me a while to get, right? Where I deal with the handle. So I'll probably extend this again, where when an event comes in on the bot, it will publish that event. So handling the chat message will be, kind of the chat. The only difference is I'm going to have to inject into these. Actually, this makes it a little easier because I just create a reply. But yeah, we'll see how that works. I think events are either represented by a state change in a system or something happening in the system. That's exactly what these are, right? The Twitch events. They are things that have happened in Twitch. What we need to do. So private IEnumerable. What does this do? I don't know what I want to do. I want to do a string. No, an iDictionary string object that get replacements. Okay, so that's that part. And then for each replacement, what we're going to do is we're going to build a dictionary of those replacements so that when we start binding the subscriptions we actually need, I'm not sure if that's true. I've just been diving into event-driven systems lately. So that's the focus in your mind, right? Peter Patrick, good morning. How was your movie? I apologize for just dropping away. I was getting tired. I lurked with you for a good long while, but the all right, so that's going to be that, and then var result new dictionary string object result that add. We need the replacement here. Oh, this is going to be difficult though. Actually, no, it's not. It's going to be fine. Because we just want the replacement and value, which you can just do that, that, that. That wants that. That's what that's complaining about. Cool. Nice. I don't get to watch many movies these days, so result. Var replacements equals get replacements. Use that. This we might move out to something else that knows how to do the replacements piece, because that's why I was going before. And when Canny told me I was over engineering with the templating stuff, because I think that's a responsibility unto itself, getting that list of replacements. Now, it does require that data, but we might be able to merge those later. So let's not worry about this right this second. So now with the replacements for each, so now we need to get the actual subscriptions. So this is where this gets a little bit messier, because we need to match based upon this. Actually, I think I've deleted that code as well. So that's kind of fascinating. Did I remove it all? Did I remove it all? There you go. That's what I want. Twitch subscriptions builder. That's what I want there. Should remove that. And then for each var subscription in subscriptions. So yeah, the way this is working, the way this is going to work or intended to work, is when I connect to the WebSocket, I then turn around, I get an ID back from the WebSocket, which we'll get to that code shortly, and that allows me to create these subscriptions. He says yes, yeah. Oh, dang it! Not sure I can do that there. I'm worried about doing this later. I don't want to do this in here because you get a very small window in which to actually register subscriptions. If you don't register subscriptions, Twitch closes the WebSocket. Which is interesting because it means that if Twitch's systems are running particularly slow, you'll just get WebSockets closing. Because I highly doubt the two are very, very linked internally. Because when I bring the WebSocket up and then I go and subscribe, it's going to publish those subscriptions internally and validate that it's done it against the right WebSocket. But either way, that's not for me to worry about, right? That's handled for me. Yeah, I'm just saying if Twitch's systems are running particularly slow, then yeah. We'll worry about the reconnect and stuff afterwards. Connect is the priority, right? Fortunately, an individual subscription comes with this, which is what I'm thinking about right this second. So nice, low balancing, etc. So what I was doing initially was basically building a subscription based off my EventSub message, which I still think is probably the right way to do this. You need to open a new WebSocket before closing the old one or something like that. Fun. Well, we'll see how that goes. Public class subscription. T event is type subscription. The problem is a subscription has the transport with it. And that transport contains that session ID, which in this case is the socket ID. That's the messy part here. I don't want to set that. I mean, I have to set it on every single one anyway. Where? I don't know about you, but I really do consider this to be oh no, I know I'm going to do this. It's not going to look pretty, but it's going to be get public let's do that. Return this. I don't know. That's just not even reasonable. So the reason I'm doing that is because I have see if I can make that work. I see it as a puzzle, right? So yes, I'm working on many different pieces at once right this second. I've got to keep them all in my head. I've got to keep moving around if I want to do what I'm trying to do. Like I see the picture in my head of what I'm aiming for from an API perspective, and that's where I aim. Right? Whether it's right or not, I don't care. So what I'm basically looking to do here is something like this. Subscription dot with transport, and we can move that there because now we know the transport. We don't have to wait on this, and we just say transport, right? And now that will give me one object that works with. So that's fine. So that I don't care about transport until later. So this is agnostic of its transport, which I'm happy with. On the Twitch API client here, we do that. That now works again because now that's an array of T event. We don't need transport passed in anymore. So that would, in theory, work. And then we need to pass in what? Oh, no, I want that to be. Let's do this. Let's do this the other way. Do that. Let's make that subscription. Let's remove that. Let's not make this loop through. Twitch API client. Do that. You should go away. Register subscription. Because that's that. I've named the namespace. Derp. Let's move that to models. It's kind of self-explanatory, right? What subscription is. Refactor this, adjust the namespace. I'm avoiding doing the hard part of this code, by the way. That's fine, right? That no longer matters. That no longer matters. This won't matter because it's a subscription. It should serialize properly. We'll see what .NET Types does with that in a little while. Why are you still whining? Do it that way. That was working before because that was taking an array and that would accept. No, it should have. Either way. Register subscription with transport. There we go. That reads okay. That's looking a little cleaner. This does its thing. Now let's come back to the hard part. So I've got my replacements. So even if I was to do a different, just click every single window possible. If I was to do, let's say I did do auto mod, that would look like that, and it would be auto mod that message hold, auto mod dot message dot hold, and that would look the same, right? So I'd subscribe to that. Now I've got one set of conditions that it's resolved, and we have those replacements. So now we need to go and get the actual subscriptions we can actually subscribe. And configuration.subscriptions.NAS goes to S. Dot event equals so that gives me a list of the actual event subtypes. So if I was to create a subscription for AutoMod, if AutoMod doesn't exist there, it won't give me AutoMod. It won't break anything. It won't blow up. It'll just not give me that subscription at all because it hasn't been implemented. So if you put something nonsensical here, it won't break. It just won't give you. It won't try to make a subscription. That's kind of the goal there. That would just save me from myself, right? So yes, reflection. Sometimes it's useful. Sometimes it's not about making it in, like, reflection is not bad. It just can take a little while to get used to. What do you mean? So you prefer that. Okay. Some of those are extensions that have been added in later versions. So that will give me the available types of EventSub. What I'm thinking there is I want to do new key equals detail.event. Why don't you give me detail there? Why is detail not available at that point? Okay. So you don't need the variable there. It's just that. Yeah. Okay, that reads a bit better. So I want the event and then the there's some value to that. So you need to provide that has the version, the type, the conditions. What I was thinking of then is they all want to do this. Trying to cut down the amount of reflection I'm going to need after the fact, right? Because if I do value equals t, right, that's going to give me the class, the type, in this case, chat message. It's going to give me this into this. But I also want this because I need this. And if there's a version on it other than one, I need that as well off it because that's what I'm going to pass to this. So I kind of need the attribute and that because then I'm going to do for each var subscription in configuration.subscriptions. Available event sub. I can't do it. Subscriptions. Var. Morning, Stoic. Hello. Battle goes well. I'm having fun tinkering with non-serious code. And being I'm experimenting basically with this. How you doing? At what, like 6:30 in the morning or something for you, or earlier? I think you can close that down. It's too early. If available, try get value subscription dot event. That will give me the value there. Right. Naming that so that I get my head around it. And I'll revisit this afterwards. So if we don't have, if we create a bunch of event subs in here for things that don't exist or we don't have mapped yet in here, this will just deal with the ones it can do. And that's all it needs to care about. So from this, we need to var conditions equals subscription dot conditions dot select yeah, because I had a couple of weeks off with the surgery and whatnot. I didn't want to coming back into this week. I just wasn't in the right place to sit down and do the regular stuff. So I figured I'd play out this week writing this new code for a bot dealing with the WebSocket client and see if I could learn something. And I think I've got it heading in the right direction. Actually, I think it does. It is going to work the way I want it to do. I'll continue to work on this off stream in the future, but then start back next week on regular stuff. So back to developers.stream on Monday, and then Liquid Sky Tuesday through Thursday next week. I don't think there's anything coming up next week that's chiming. Hey, maybe. Good day. Just saw you shouting me out yesterday. Thank you. You can thank OneLine. OneLine is my until I get developers that stream in a good place and I get the get a bot hooked up. OneLine is thankfully doing all my shout outs for me, which I really do appreciate. Yeah, if you don't know about OneLine, if you like .NET code, just showed you it again. Thank you, OneLine. Take back everything I said about you. Good. There's nothing nice. Yeah. So I'm playing out the week doing this. I didn't do that either. OneLine did that as well. OneLine's normally busy working in the morning, but sits here kindly helping me with shout-outs and stuff because he realized very quickly that I am not very attentive to the whole shout-out thing because I focus so much on the code. So I've really come to appreciate that. And part of why I want to build developers.stream is to help with providing people some context of the shout out, like more information about you, like you're developing Barely Fit, a fitness application, and give that context so when we do the shout out, it'll come from that. Thing keeping me more busy is that I'm trying to get the bot ready for the stream as well. I'm still trying to get my work done. The thread I usually use to do shoutouts on your stream is being used on debugging a minor issue with the bot. No worries. There is no expectation of the shoutouts. I really, truly appreciate them. So Timmy, this style of writing link is so weird to me. I prefer the method call syntax. So fun fact, my channel is set to no swearing, no profanity, etc. Just the way I prefer to run the stream. So that auto modded you, maybe. I'm sorry. No worries. It's more for practice for me, and also I treat this stream as kind of a professional outlet, so I just prefer not to. Although professional these days doesn't mean quite the same as it did. It always fills me with warm and fuzzies when someone remembers the name of the project. It's an awesome name, and your logos are awesome. It's where I look professional too. Yes, it's become more common in the workplace than it used to be. Yeah. So, hopefully this bot will go towards, yeah, back in my day. Yeah. Although I mean, I've had a boss hit me in the past, so That's not a place I want to come from either. Yeah. So as I work on developers.stream, I can work on this in the background, and the ultimate aim would be basically when I get a chat message, if I see a chat message from someone I haven't, like if you came into the stream and you said hello, right? I could write it so that this would pick up. I could hook into developers.stream as a middleware part of my bot here, and then that would call out and look you up in developers.stream. And if you'd registered there, it'd say, oh, yeah, maybe I've got some spiel from him, produced by him. Here you go, here's the spiel. And kind of give me the chance to approve it into the stream. Or give a mod the chance to approve it into the stream, something like that. So we'll be working on those tools. Dang, and I thought we had rough management when we worked together. Yeah, not that rough. To be fair, my direct manager pulled into the side and said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. He saw my face. So, but scrapping with your boss is probably not a good idea. Charge me. Luckily, I don't listen to anything while I stream. This is not gonna do as well as I want it to do, right? So this is gonna be return new key equals c dot key, value equals replacements dot contains key c dot value replacements c dot value c dot value. Okay, if that's, you think that's simpler, okay, that's fine. To diction. That's probably going to do that to dictionary. Replace with tuple. I'm not sure that's any more readable. So Timmy, you said this style writing link is so weird to you. The from. I kind of like when I'm doing this sort of stuff, I think it helps me think through it. The dot syntax with the functions, to me, makes that a little harder to read. I do mix them a bit. You can see conditions.select. I'm not sure that makes that more readable. We'll revisit that later. So now what I need to do is create a new. This is going to be fun. Private subscription, create subscription type, event subscription type. Dictionary conditions. No. Control Shift O. String conditions. Okay. String object. We'll come back to this because I'm not sure it's going to do exactly what I wanted to do, because I think, yeah. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's see how it serializes before we go too far down the path. I'm going to make it easier here for the sake of yeah, return new events. This will make sense in a second. Is T event sub, kind of narrow that down a little bit. It's event sub base. No. Yes. Event sub base. Event sub event base. Again, control RR is always a possibility. We can worry about that later. So what I'm going to do, so if you don't like reflection, look away now. So here I need to get yield return, create subscription, event, subscription type, comma, conditions, right? I need, this is going to return an array of subscriptions. This is going to need to create an actual subscription of the right type with the right values, etc. To get all that information off. I need to be able to get the attribute and pull that together. So we need to invoke a generic method. So var method equals this.get type.get get methods, name of, create subscription, binding flags instance, binding flags non-public. What do I like that? Oh, because it doesn't want that. Dot where m dot is generic method name. Pattern match it. I know, I'm still getting used to the pattern matching. That's single or defaults. There you go. See there, I don't like the from. The from would not make that any easy to read. If method is null. Nah, I'd just make it break. Yes, we are doing a bit of reflection. What do I need to do? I just need to invoke it. Return method.invoke. Oh no, I need to create a generic version, sorry. Var generic equals method. So the type I'm passing in here is going to be of type chat message. I'm going to get this method and I'm going to make sure that that T event sub is of that event subscription type, right? And then I invoke the generic method, right? Return generic.invoke on this object, passing the subscriptions and Yeah. You know what? No, not there. There. What does it look like? Is it not like the generic, or it's just because this can be nullable? Dereference of possible null. Yeah, it's fine. Considering what I'm doing here, let's not worry about that too much right this second. Okay, so build subscriptions should get me a list of subscriptions. So I should be able to get there. Right? Odds of this working first time? Slim to none, but let's go. I enjoy reflection. I think it's again something that we shouldn't shy away from. Unable to resolve service type. Oh. Because I have to inject subscriptions builder because I want the configuration and stuff. Builder.services.add singleton I. There's no point in making that transient or whatever because I'm only going to use it once. Do I have a list of subscriptions? I do. I have a chat message subscription with 2 conditions. There's my user ID. There you go. Work first time. No transport because I want it to, but there you go. That worked first time. We're not counting the fact that I missed a dependency injection as a second time, just for clarity there. So, yeah, that's going to. I do not like that. I get the no nesting, and I get that some people would leave the continue there on the end. Considering the length of that line, I don't like that, and I also like the color braces around things. So that's again readability for me. That stands out on its own. It doesn't. This will blow up if something's incorrect here, but if I get to this point and I can't do any of this and this isn't going to return correctly, I really don't care. It should explode. This really is kind of all joined together. I don't like this. All I'm doing there is making sure that if I don't have a replacement thing, it's not going to give me that. So now let's see if it will actually subscribe, right? So if I run it through, in theory, this should subscribe. Because now it should connect to the WebSocket and then get to this point. And again, if you have thoughts, opinions, questions on what I'm doing, please feel free. I have no problem with. Okay, so here we go. Socket identifier. Damn it. That's the piece I'm missing. Okay. Okay. We got that. We need to get this. So. So close. What we need to do is go to the chatbot, example chatbot code, right? They show you some of this. Yes. Metadata.subscription.type. Because these in JavaScript, they can just make up the object on the fly because it'll just deal with it. It'll parse the JSON and it'll give them a dynamic object that they trust. I don't have that luxury. So I need to figure out. I'm basically verbalizing the steps because if it helps someone else get through this piece, that's fine. So I need to know, because I need payload session ID, right? So I need to know the session, when I get the session welcome message, on message type to go and get payload session.id, right? So I need to decode this data that I get back from here. So this content is everything. And actually, by the way, that's this notepad. Notepad. That is this. So we have that object, metadata, message ID, session welcome, and payload, session ID. So that's my socket ID, right? But I don't want to just pass that out here. I want to get that into something here. So types, metadata. So there's the metadata, but that's just the metadata. That's not the full response. This is not a, this is a WebSocket message, WebSocket. What is this? WebSocket packet? Well, I'll come back around on that one in a second. So there's two pieces of information here. The metadata is one. We also need the payload. So let's go and figure out. They don't make this very simple. WebSocket events, welcome message, notification message, keep alive, reconnect. So read more. I go here. Okay, so I can see the payload here. Now in this case, my payload is session with an object that has ID, has status, has connected at, has keep alive timeout, has reconnect URL, recovery URL, because, you know, it's built for webhooks. Metadata is an object. So payload is an object that contains a session, which is an object. Okay. So let's map out a session. Public string ID. Public string status. We're not worried about putting types around that until later. That looks like a date time. Connected at. You could open a scratch file and write a shift control alt and insert and select right JSON to get formatted. Ah, that's a shortcut for that. Nice. I know scratches exist. It's just I never think to use them. Right. It's funny how that's like. If it wasn't for the fact I need a lot of stuff here, I would I'd basically be doing this in LinkPad until I got it working. Keep alive, timeout, seconds, public. Yeah. Normally, oh, you know why? I was going to say, normally it helps me. I turned it off because it was getting in my way. I started using it once I started dealing with JSON. I can see that. What's this? It's going to format that again, yeah. Okay, so that's session. So we've got metadata, which that doesn't look anything like, but whatever. Message timestamp. Message ID, message type, message. So message type, message ID. Okay, we got that. So we'll deal with the session welcome afterwards. And then we need a payload. Payload, which contains, in this case, right this second, it will contain more than this. Session. So the WebSocket message base contains metadata, public, payload. We'll get to what that means afterwards, because if you look, payload it also contains the event. That's going to be a little bit more generic. So we're going to end up refactoring this again afterwards to deal with the fact that this event is going to change. Also, the subscription. We don't have a subscription in ours right this second. So, yes. So there's going to be a subscription on this side as well, but it's going to not be the same subscription. But this should at least allow me to handle that particular one. So, so the way I've done this in the past is I'll get the first message because it contains the type of event, and then I'll pass it again to the specific type based upon the result. And that way I can I don't really want to be dealing with trying to just read it as a generic JSON and then manipulating it based upon that. Serialize async, yeah, JSON element, no. I could use it dynamically this way, right? I could just pass it as a JSON element and then pass it more specifically later, but I gotta pass it anyway. So WebSocket base, message base. If, so let's do switch message dot metadata dot message type case. Now what do they say? Session welcome. Await register subscriptions. Message dot payload dot session dot ID. Default console.writeLine content. And for me to head off, thanks for the stream. Good way to start the morning. Apex, thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Appreciate it. Have a great day. And, see you again soon. I did lurk in your stream yesterday, by the way. I do apologize for not saying hello. I had to go out, but if you're not aware of Apex, Apex is building a game, and he's been working on the AI, pathfinding and searching and trying to fight orcs and stuff. So highly recommend checking that out. So let's see if there's words. Oh no, it broke. It broke where? Object reference at Twitch line 43. Have a great day, Apex. Twitch WS client, line 43. Metadata. Hold on. Not weird. No, should be fine. Oh, hold on. New JSON serializer options. Let's validate that first. There we go. So the default is for it to have the matching case. So all I did then is say, I don't care about the case, just match it. Which is weird because I had the JSON property. No, I had the JSON property names around most of it, but some of them match anyway. We have metadata and we have payload with a session ID. Okay, so that's that. Oh, what did we fail on there? That's quite a big stack trace. Remote party. Oh, I timed out. I ran out of time of getting the subscription in there. $400 bad request. Okay. Let's find out what we actually sent it. So my concern here is, so my subscription looks fine here, right? Everything looks good to me. But my concern is, did it serialize properly? Content, JSON content, headers, content type, content length. Can you even see the content? Content, here you go. Nope, it's not going to work here. So here's what we're going to do. Serialize. Property name in camel case. I don't think that's going to make the difference, but let's actually do this way. Okay, so let's do var subscription body equals that, and then there. Okay. What I normally do is I'll create a static value of these properties because I want to make them consistent throughout the application. I don't like creating them new everywhere. I'd like to have just one set, but let's have a look and see what that does as far as the subscription goes. Let's remove this one. Get that. We literally have 10 seconds or something like that to get to return this subscription before the okay, so transport, session ID, WebSocket. Yeah, that's completely missing, isn't it? Yeah, that's Dang it. So what the problem there is it only knows about subscription. So when I pass in this, it knows this part. It doesn't know this part, even though that's what I've created. I've created a list of these, and it is an event sub. It just doesn't know that it is an event sub. So I come back to having to do something similar to what I did previously with that reflection thing, where I'm saying, okay, register subscription. By the way, here's the actual type that I'm dealing with. Because subscription is too generic at this point. Even if I, I think I can fix this relatively quickly by invoking this, but let's, yeah. So it knows I can actually get to the actual type. I know it's a subscription of chat message. So what I need to do is invoke this generically, right? T event sub. And this is a subscription of T event sub, right? And that will then give me the right type. But the problem is now this is broken. So private async task subscription type subscription type right, and then we do that there. And then where T event sub is a subscription, I don't want to pass everything down. Type subscription transport doesn't like that because that returns a subscription. Ugh. Close. But that's what I was worried about. I was worried about the loss of specifics. I think I called that out as I was going through it. So, okay. Well, I'm kind of out of time. I have, they pay me to do a real job. As much as I would love to do this all the time. Ooh, I am thankful for it being Friday. So, here's what's going to happen. Next week, this is not going to happen again. So if you are interested in this, if you want to know more about the code, if you have some questions, thoughts, opinions, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. I'm always happy to talk about this stuff. Sometimes we hang out in the voice chat. You're more than welcome to join. Of course, ads started. Ads. There we go. Let me wait for that to go through. That needs to be generic. I might actually benefit from this being the other side. Instead of doing the generic stuff in here, if we get rid of that and do type, event type. I wonder if we could do the generic piece in here, because then there's less responsibility. No, because I need to cast it as that. And that's not kind of what I want to do. Because that would be, I'm just waiting for the ads to finish rather than cut everything off. Okay, ads are about to finish. Okay, so I'm gonna tinker with this design a little bit, but obviously what we've just seen is we've got to the point where we're now going to make that subscription. Now I just need to refine the events as they come back, so start building out that pipeline. What I do from here is basically handle these different things, and anything that is a notification type, I'm going to pass out to another part of the system and handle those as kind of like create a pipeline of, okay, I've got a message, here's what I need to do, create the handlers, pull all those things in. So kind of pull this design in here where I create a handler for each type of message, and then really try and create a set of nice, easy things where if you just pull the library in, I can build those things. So, because what I want to do eventually is have this as an actual library that is not the bot code. Here's the library. You just set this up, and now you can create your bot and just create handles and stuff. That'd be cool. So I'll continue working on this. If you are interested in joining, you're more than welcome to talk in the Discord. The cards below, that is linked. I will return Monday. We'll be working on developers.stream, which is a Blazor app using .NET Aspire to kind of set up the development. That will be open source. And again, the idea of that is to support developers who stream. And we'll return to normally scheduled programming. So in the meantime, don't forget, it is Friday. And on Fridays, One Lion often does community days where he's another .NET developer, a fantastic .NET developer, works on a lot of different things over there, a lot of Blazor, very talented in Blazor, and is Fridays are community days where you can go and hang out in the voice chat or in the regular chat and just talk about technology in general. You're very welcome, Mr. Roth. I will hopefully catch some of your streams over the weekend. I often lurk in there. There you go. So let's go and raid, not T EventSub. We're not going to go raid T EventSub. Frank Bucheras is streaming. He is working on his Azure URL shortener. Which, Frank is an Azure expert and very knowledgeable. So let's go raid him. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you Monday. And hopefully catch some of the streams. Take care all.